It's time for the 21st Strongest Under the Heavens tournament. As Goku and Krillin walk into the Halls of Heroes, eager to begin the preliminary matches, they lead in an old friend.
Come on, Freddy, this way! This is where we're gonna fight a bunch of strong guys!
Is that a giant bear? What's he doing here? Hey, don't be racist, man. After over a year of training with the Turtle School, Freddy Fazbear was eager to show off everything he learned, even if he didn't show it on his face. It took some convincing, but the tournament staff were able to sign on Freddy as a contestant. There were many bears out there in the world. It makes sense that one of them became a martial artist. During the preliminary rounds, the various participants were shocked to see how powerful the Turtle School students truly were. The small kids were knocking out contestants left and right. And that bear, not only was he incredibly tough, he was incredibly creepy. He wouldn't say a word to any of his foes, and anytime someone tried to hit him, it was as if they were trying to punch through plates of steel. It was during the preliminaries that Freddy faced off against a seemingly formidable foe, Bacterion. The large, smelly man mocked Freddy, labeling him as easy pickings, his natural prey. After all, beastmen have incredibly sensitive noses. They were no match for his stinky techniques. However, when the match began and Bacterion approached Freddy, the bear didn't react at all. Bacterion thought this was simply a fluke and tried to fire a snot loogie at him, but Freddy didn't seem to care as he dodged the foul strike. The brute launched every single attack he could think of. Fart throws, stinky breath blasts, and even the ultimate banned technique, the smelly finger of doom. The entire crowd of spectators were coughing and gagging at every single one of Bacterion's disgusting attacks. But for some reason no one could understand, Freddy was unfazed. Krillin, who was watching from a safe distance, mentioned how it was only normal for this to be the case. He was a robot after all. He had no sense of smell. Freddy decides to go in for an attack as he traps Bacterion in a tight bear hug. The giant of a man tries to escape the bear's iron-tight grip until he notices something foul. This bear, he smelled so bad, almost like a rotting corpse. When Bacterion looked directly at Freddy, the animatronic opened its mouth as a stench unlike anything the brute had ever smelled before irradiated from it. The smell was so rotten and disgusting, it caused Bacterion's eyes to roll into the back of his head and go limp. Bacterion was knocked out and unable to battle. Freddy could now advance into the main tournament rounds. Goku and Krillin congratulate Freddy as the little kids grab onto his arms excitedly. Freddy simply tilts his head, but Goku could tell he was glad to be with his friends. With the preliminaries now over, it was time to decide the lineup for the main tournament brackets. One by one, each of the remaining contestants reveal themselves to each other. None of them were expecting to see a giant bear. But if someone like Giran could make it in, then anything was possible. Freddy sees the other contestants and, just like Goku, doesn't recognize Roshi as Jackie Chun. The software in Freddy scans the Hermit Master, sees the new hair, and gets an error. With no time to waste, the tournament announcer declares the rules for the upcoming matches. The main contestants huddle to draw their numbers out of the box to determine their placements in the tournament bracket. Freddy scares everyone when his arm becomes stuck in the box, and when he pulls back, the whole thing comes off. Don't worry, it does that sometimes. Krillin grabs Freddy's detached arm, and, without even blinking, he puts the hand right back on. The announcer is left silent, but then decides that must be a trick of the light and chooses to ignore it. For the first match of the main tournament, it would be Krillin versus Freddy Fazbear. The announcer checks his notes. No, Freddy Fazbear! The audience bursts into various hushed murmurs as people start to question what they just heard. The announcer didn't say what they thought he said, right? Not that Freddy Fazbear, the famous singing bear from the commercials? The crowd erupts in cheers. They didn't know that a celebrity was gonna be here today. Trying his best to ignore the cheers, Krillin declares that this match won't be like all the others. He's learned with every loss he's faced, he's finally developed a technique that can take Freddy down a notch. He holds his hand up in the sky and shouts out, "Destructo Disc!" As the disc forms, Krillin shouts out to Freddy to catch the pizza. A loud slashing noise is heard as the audience members scream in despair. Freddy Fazbear was decapitated! Krillin sweats profusely as Goku shouts at him to be more careful next time. The tournament announcer cries out for his favorite childhood teddy, disqualifying Krillin for murdering his opponent. Krillin shakes his head as he nervously steps up to Freddy.
No, it's okay. It's just a flesh wound. I think.
Sure enough, the body of Freddy continues moving around, searching for his head as he kicks Krillin away. He grabs his head and puts it back on, ready to fight once more. Krillin tries his best to launch a salvo of hits on the bear, but nothing lands. Jackie and Goku knew what was happening. Freddy had managed to observe Krillin's fighting style for nearly a full year. He had gathered so much data on Krillin that he had completely downloaded his martial arts patterns. Krillin lunges forward, desperately trying to put all of his strength into this last punch. However, Freddy ducks at the last moment as Krillin strikes the celebrity's hat instead. As it turns out, Freddy's hat was made of pure steel, just like the rest of his body. While Krillin cries and blows on his injured hand, Freddy activates one of his secret techniques. He takes off his hat, and with a glint in his eye and unfounded determination, he tosses it like a frisbee at his foe. Krillin barely manages to dodge the hat by the skin of his teeth, but Goku shouts at him to stay focused. Krillin doesn't understand what he means until he hears it. The top hat was rushing back at him. Krillin continues dodging the hat as it pursues the martial artist throughout the arena. Each movement and weave that Krillin performed made him more exhausted as he continued to focus solely on the hat. But this became his downfall. As he was focused so much on the hat, he didn't realize that Freddy had suddenly appeared behind him, ready to attack. Unable to dodge both the hat and the strike, Krillin made the choice to block Freddy's punch and attempt to jump out of the way of the projectile. Unfortunately, the hat changed course at the last moment, clashing against Krillin and sending him flying out of the ring with a loud, resounding clank. Just like that, Krillin had lost the match. Freddy had won. Roshi, still disguised as Jackie Chun, looks on proudly at his students. Krillin had managed to learn the bitter reality of there being fighters far stronger than him out there in the world. That lesson would be invaluable to him moving forward. And Freddy, what started as a terrifying nuisance had become an even more frightening fighter. At this point, he didn't know who was more of a prodigy, the monkey kid or the bear. Regardless, if they wanted to truly improve, they needed to be beaten and learn the same lesson Krillin had. The rest of the tournament rounds continued on without much issues, and, before long, the semi-final matches had begun. It was now time for Freddy Fazbear versus the mysterious old master, Jackie Chun. The old master knew he couldn't afford to waste any time here. The longer they fight, the more time Freddy would have to adapt to his fighting style. Right off the bat, Jackie attempted to use the Sleepy Boy technique. Surely this would give him an opening to strike. Unfortunately, it had zero effect on the bear. After all, he wasn't alive. He was a machine. With a punch to the face, Jackie staggered back. It was time to switch strategies. The old master went limp as he started to move strangely. This was the drunken fist. Jackie was sure that his unpredictable movements would be the key he needed to gain an edge. Until Freddy punched his face yet again. Jackie thought it was a fluke, but the mechanical menace was able to follow his erratic behavior without any problems. This was because Freddy was installed with a zero-tolerance protocol. Alcohol was prohibited in Fazbear Pizzeria, and all drunks would be thrown out with no mercy. Backed into a literal corner, Jackie decided to use his last resort.
I never thought you would push me this far, Freddy Fazbear. You are a shining star of martial arts. That is why I cannot allow you to win. Take this! Electric shock surprise!
In a stunning turn of events, lightning blasted out of the old man's fingertips and struck the animatronic. Freddy was being electrocuted. The entire audience looked on, awestruck at the dazzling display, as Krillin begged Jackie to stop. He was killing him. As the robot circuits overloaded and its motherboard fried, Freddy's mainframe was overrun with errors and alerts. Until finally, it did the only thing it could do. It shut down. In the beginning, there was darkness. Absolutely nothing. But then, there was a bright flash. The smell of freshly baked pizza, the sounds of laughter, and music filled the air. This was a bustling dining hall with various families cheering for a group of familiar animals playing their instruments. A rush of euphoria and cheers echoed throughout the hall. With one exception. A small child runs through the crowd, dashing out of the room at the first chance he had. Running around the pizzeria, the little boy seemed to be looking for something. He wanted to tell his friend something important, but he couldn't quite recall what it was. Speeding down a new hall filled with drawings of the animal performers, the boy sees a door that was slightly ajar. He thinks he found who he was looking for, until he is suddenly picked up from behind.
What are you doing here? I thought I told you to stay in the dining hall. You're coming with me this instant. Stop fighting! I expect better from you!
Freddy? Freddy! Freddy! Are you okay?
The machine had slowly opened his eyes, his operating system finally rebooting. It looked around to see that the tournament arena had somehow been destroyed. It was already dusk, and most of the arena stands were already empty. Goku laughed in relief as he lashed onto Freddy's head in a big hug. Roshi sighed in relief as Krillin thanked Bulma for saving their friend. As it turned out, the electric shock surprise had indeed overloaded Freddy's circuitry. It had rendered him unable to move anymore. At first, everyone thought Jackie had accidentally murdered his opponent, but he tried to defend himself.
That's a robot! He isn't dead! He just needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Ain't nothing that a little bit of elbow grease can't fix.
There was no precedent in the rules for what would happen if a contestant was a robot and destroyed. For now, Freddy would be considered incapacitated, and Jackie would be allowed to continue in the tournament. Goku was angered at what had happened to Freddy, but Jackie expressed concern for the robot. He didn't mean to go that far. When Bulma offered to look over Freddy to see what she could do for him, Jackie pleaded with her to do everything she could. It took some time, and she was limited with her tools, but in the end, Bulma was able to fix and reboot the bear. If she wasn't distracted by the sudden arrival of a massive rampaging monkey, she probably could have fixed him sooner. Well, fix was a strong word. There was still a lot of damage done to Freddy's motherboard and circuits. She needed to take a much better look at him over at Capsule Corp in her lab to truly repair him. For being a robot bear that sinks into a mic, this was perhaps the most complex machinery she had ever seen. Bulma was excited and more than ready to take on the task of properly repairing Freddy Fazbear. Goku looked over to Freddy and asked if he understood what was going on, and he nodded. The boy smiled and said that he's glad his friend was just so smart. For now, it'd be best for him to go with Bulma so he can get fixed. As for Goku, he's seen now that there are much stronger warriors out there like Jackie Chun. He needed to fight and get stronger. Besides, he wanted to get his grandpa's Dragon Ball back. With one final wave goodbye, Goku leaves on his flying Nimbus to begin his next big adventure. Freddy watched on as Krillin nudged his hand. It was time for them to go. Freddy stayed still a little while longer, staring off into the sky until the Nimbus cloud was completely gone from sight. Meanwhile, far away in a massive military compound, a short man is shouting at his staff over the footage he was seeing.
Can someone tell me what the hell that bear is doing at the World Martial Arts Tournament? I thought all those suits were damaged beyond repair and melted for scraps!
It appears that the extent of their damage wasn't as severe as we initially believed.
No kidding! It was live on TV doing karate and backflips! And that was just one of them! We need to track down that bear and destroy it before it's too late!
Hold on, sir. Maybe this could turn out to be an opportunity for us.
Oh yeah? Why do you figure that, Officer Black?
Freddy Fazbear has proven to show remarkable growth. These techniques, that strength, a simple animatronic meant to entertain children was capable of standing up to the world's strongest. And he isn't the only one of his kind. If we're able to track him and the rest of his band down,
then we'd have 3 incredibly powerful killer robots on our side! Ha! I like the way you think, Black! This is why I pay you the big bucks, Staff Officer!
But of course, sir.
Shut up! You're wasting my valuable time! Now, put Tab on the phone! I got a very important job for him. I need him to hunt down a certain chicken and rabbit for me. By the end of his mission, I expect Freddy Fazbear and his friends to rejoin the Red Ribbon Army.
Hello everyone! Happy Halloween! This is Professor Chimp. Thanks for watching. This has been What If Five Nights at Freddy's Was in Dragon Ball, Part 3. This silly little series has been going on for a few years now. It started off as a joke turned into a dare by some friends, and it continues on to this day. I know this series will never do massive gangbuster numbers on YouTube, but I don't care. I still think it's a lot of fun, and it makes me laugh. I hope it made y'all laugh too. Given how the FNAF movie is coming out in December, I'm hoping to release at least one more FNAF video around that time. Hopefully 2 if things turn out well. In other news, tune in during November, where we will finally see the return of Ultra Instinct Goku Early, Season 2. Keep an eye out for that. First off, I wanted to thank CharoGaming 99 for making all the custom Freddy art in his Turtle School gi. It's actually because of him and his dare that this series exists at all, so if you have anyone to blame, point your fingers at him. Secondly, I'd like to thank EngineerIguana for editing this video. He does great work, and I love the visual humor he adds to the videos. He's always open for video commissions, so please reach out to him for any of your video editing needs. Lastly, I want to thank all my Patreon and YouTube channel members. Thank you to Cyber Samurai, Flyer B, Green Turret, Uga Booga, Tafari Lancros, and Rimas Janusones. Your financial contributions help with paying for video editors, artists, and much more with the channel. If you would like to help the channel, then please consider supporting me on Patreon or as a YouTube channel member. Join the Banana Club for $4.99 a month and get access to videos a week early, join our exclusive Discord server, get shoutouts at the end of videos, and gain access to audio-only, member-exclusive what-ifs. If not, then no worries. You can also help the channel by liking the video, leaving a comment, and sharing the video around with friends who like Dragon Ball. And FNAF, I guess. Well, that's all for today. This has been Professor Chimp. Stay safe out there, and I hope to see you all next time.